Hello and welcome. My name's Daniel Arulian Cumming. So this autumn flow is going to be quite a lot of fluid movement, but there's going to be some longer holds. So all that I ask is that when you feel like you've had enough of holding a pose, instead of coming out or doing something that your instincts tell you, I just want you to see if you can soften into it a little bit more until maybe you come back out. But always, our safe poses to come back to are either lying down on your belly, lying on your back, or our first pose that we're going to start on, and that's child's pose. And so we do have a pre-made playlist for this class. So if you would like to use that, you can press play on that now, and then you can follow along. Otherwise, you can use your own music. So we'll start off in a child's pose. If you don't have a bolster or a block with you, that's fine. You can use pillows instead of bolsters. You can use, I've used cans of baked beans or something as a block instead, but we're not going to use these props too much in this one, but they're good to have on hand. But if you do have a pillow or something that you want to put underneath your knees and your hips, just to start off with in child's pose, we'll start here. So in child's pose, find a comfortable distance of your knees from each other. So that might feel better close together today. That might feel better far apart, maybe somewhere in between. And just starting to settle into your breath. So when you breathe in, I want you to think about expanding your belly out and down like a balloon starting to fill full of air. Then as you exhale, I just want you to feel your body start to soften and relax and surrender a little bit more into the pose. And that's what I meant by just taking one more breath while you're in a pose, rather than adjusting your position of the pose straight away. Maybe just adjusting your breath and softening the muscles that may be causing you tension in that same pose. So it's just kind of showing you that you can approach the same situation a little bit more softly, a little bit more surrender, a little bit more gently. And then it might be fine to stay in that position. But then again, if it hasn't, then we can move. So we'll start to move a little bit with the breath. So just come to all fours. So you want the wrist stacked beneath the shoulders, knee stacked beneath the hips. And as you press into your hands, focus on pressing into the fingertips. So I like to imagine that you have something really fragile, delicate underneath your palm that you're trying to hide from someone, but you don't want to crush. And so what we're going to do is just some cat-cows with a little bit of variation. So as you inhale, I want you to think about drawing the chest forward. And think about drawing the thighs back. So as Jess lifts her chest up, she's actually pressing her thighs backwards at the same time, because we want length in the spine. And then as you exhale, just sink gently back to a child's pose, or even kind of half a child's pose. You may have to walk the hands back a little bit. And then inhale, lift up and open. And then we're going to take a cat-cow. So press into the fingertips, tuck the chin, open up through the upper back. Perfect. Inhale, soften through the shoulders, press into the pinky fingers more than the rest of the hand. And then as you exhale, sinking back to child's pose. And we're just going to do that whole flow again, so continually moving. Inhale, opening up, pressing into the pinky fingers, open up through the chest, back through the thighs. Exhale, rounding through the upper back. Press into the thumb and first finger and let the head just dangle in between the arms. Good. Inhale, pinky fingers press in. We arch the back again. And then exhale, sinking back into our child's pose. Perfect. Inhale, lifting back up. But then this time, we're going to lean to the left. So walk our hands back, right foot forward. Left knee stays down. If it's uncomfortable on the left knee, you can place a pillow underneath. Otherwise, the further back the left knee is, it should take a bit of pressure off there. So then we want to inhale, both our arms up, soften through the shoulders, place the right hand down to the right thigh, left arm reaches gently up and over, and just draw the hips forward a little bit. So what this is doing, it's actually opening up space here. There's a muscle called the psoas. We've probably all heard of it. That's our fight or flight response muscle. And during autumn, we're wanting to come out of that. So that's there for a reason. That's our sympathetic mode where we're active, we're looking for things, but this is starting to get our body into the rest and the restore. So if we can relax the psoas muscle, we can start to encourage that rest and restore state. So just one more breath in. And then as you exhale, you can just bring both hands down. We're going to lean forward onto the hands, lift the left knee for a moment, and just set up. So you want to have a balance between pressing forward and pressing back. If it is feeling like you've got, taking weight on that front leg, that's fine. Inhale, lift the right arm, but feel like we're drawing something up, like drawing a bow. Inhale, lift the arm up, and then exhale, just drape that right arm underneath the right leg, tucking the chin a little bit. Inhale, soften, bend through that left knee, turn to the right, lift the right hand, and as you exhale, drape that right hand underneath the body. That's it, one more time. Inhale, lifting up, and then exhale, right hand all the way down to the floor. Lower that left knee, bring that right knee back. And we're just going to take back this position, all fours, and just start to move a little bit. So leaning to the right, leaning to the back, leaning to the left, leaning to the front. And just softening through the neck, shoulders, face, and especially the jaw and mouth. So if your teeth are touching, so if your teeth are together, if you talk, you'll probably sound like this, but you want to make sure that your teeth are apart so your jaw's fully relaxed. You'd be surprised how often we think our jaw's relaxed when it's not. And just reversing that rotation. So we lean forward to the back and really starting to lean back a little bit more. You can maybe take a nice big sigh out, so a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, audible breath out. And you'd be surprised how doing that sigh can actually relax the body. It sends a response into the nervous system that there's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to fight. When you're ready, we'll walk the hands forward a little bit. Inhale the chest up like we're going into a cat-cow motion, but we lift the knees first, downward dog, pressing into the fingertips, and just gently lift the knees, look at the toes, say hello toes. And then inhale the knees back down to the floor, opening up through the chest. Press into the pinky fingers a little bit. Cool, let's do that again, but gently. So as gently as you can, lifting the knees, pressing through the fingertips. If this is too much for you today, you can just come back to what we've been doing before. So all these are scalable. So inhale, the knees back down to the floor. And for example, if your body says, I'm actually done with downward dog for now, you can just come back into a child's pose. But depending where you are in your autumn, you may have a bit more energy to burn at the moment, so you can stay in downward dog. That's up to you. And just remember that throughout the flow. So we'll come back down to the knees. And then this time we're going to take our left foot forward. So you might want to lean to the right knee and the right hand, left foot forward. And think zipping up through center. So you know that feeling when you're trying to put on really tight pants? That'll activate the lower belly, the pelvic floor. And then as you exhale and release, that'll relax it. So inhale and then leaning over towards the left a little bit. So sometimes you might think it's counterproductive to turn on or to tense something that I'm trying to relax. But sometimes when we can't relax a muscle, we actually need to tense that muscle more and then release it. Yeah? So sometimes we kind of have to come over to one side in order to bring something over to the other side. It's like when you're having a conversation with someone, if you're, trying to make them see your point of view, sometimes you need to go over to their side of things and then gently coax them back over to your side. Relaxing the shoulders, breathing through the belly. Good. Last breath in, and then exhale, you can drop that right hand. Just gently lift the right knee and make sure the back set of toes is facing forward, so the back heel is off. Again, if you feel tension in this front leg, that's good. It's activating lots of little muscles. Inhale, lift from the elbow, left hand to the ceiling. As you exhale, drape that left hand underneath the body. Good. Inhale, opening up. Maybe a little wiggle of your fingers. And then exhale all the way back down. Good, one more of those, as gentle as possible. And let gravity do its thing all the way back down. Good, this time you can step back to downward dog or just come back down to the knees. So if you want to go back to downward dog, left foot back. So either you're on all fours, taking these little mini circles again, if you want something more gentle. Otherwise, if you're in downward dog, just starting to pedal out through your downward dog. So what that means is pressing into, say, the left heel, or you press into the right hand. And then vice versa, pressing down into the right heel and the left hand. But never look out your knees. Yeah, we have this kind of myth that the whole idea of downward dog is to get your heels to the ground. Whoever came up with that myth definitely doesn't like knees, because depending on your anatomy, that could really start to agitate your knees. So just keep a little bend in the knees. Maybe a little grin even. That's the advanced version of downward dog. If you're not ready for that yet, wait till later. Good. Looking forward, lifting the hips a little bit, starting to walk the feet underneath the body towards the hands. Ground down into the heels. So think everything as effortless as possible. So if we lean back, we can gently drape the hands up the shins to the knees. We stop halfway, look forward, and then exhale back down. Let's do that again. So it's a whole pose in itself. We inhale, ground into the heels, roll up, stop halfway, open up through the chest, exhale back down. Perfect. One more time, we'll roll all the way up into standing. And you can just roll the shoulders at the top. If one of those people that gets dizzy once you rise up, just roll the shoulders up. You can even pump your fists if you feel a little bit dizzy. If you don't feel dizzy, you can take a little bit of a back bend. So inhale, lifting the hands up, fingertips or palms together, and just a little opening through the chest. And then as you exhale, bring the hands all the way down to the floor. Gently. Inhale, look forward again. And then we'll exhale back into a warrior two. So the right foot back, right heel to the ground, left foot stays forward, left arm reaching forward, and right arm reaching back. So we're always looking for balance. So think of Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold. We don't want to be too far forward. We don't want to be too far back. And we want to obviously lift our arms up, but we don't want to be rock stiff. So relax the shoulders a little bit. That's it. So as we breathe out, I want you to drop the hands gently. Bring them in front of the pelvic area. Press through the feet, straighten that front leg a little bit. And as you inhale, I want you to imagine drawing water up through a straw or a fountain. And then as water would come up and out of the fountain, sink back into that front foot. Good. We sink with the breath. So breathe in, up through the central channel. And then as you exhale, drop your weight into the front foot. And just press into the pinky toe of that left foot a little bit to help line up that knee over the ankle. So inhale, lift up. Exhale, dropping in. Good. Inhale, zipping up. So you can turn on, in, and up from the pelvic floor. And then exhale, sinking down. Feel free to close your eyes if you've got this a little bit more. Whenever you can, especially in this kind of movement, if you close your eyes, you start to tap into more about how you feel rather than how it looks. And although we are focusing on drawing energy on, in, and up, when we expand and soften in, the middle of our pelvic area actually drops down to the floor. So naturally, we're dropping the energy back down through. There's actually what we call in Tantra kind of focusing on clearing the central channel, or just starting to bring awareness to that central energy point from the crown of our head down to our pelvic floor. One more time, breathing in. And then this time as we exhale, we'll start to turn that front palm face up, inhale, reverse. And then just spiral the hands all the way back down to the floor, taking the back heel off. Both hands are on the ground. Just as before, right hand down, inhale, left arm up. Exhale, drape that left hand underneath the body. Good, 2 more times. If you find yourself hurrying, slow down the breath. Enjoying the transitions. Yeah, so autumn is all about honoring the transition. Inhale, lifting up. And then exhale down. Either down to your knees or left foot back, downward dog. Having a little pedal out again. So again, at any time, you can lower down to the knees and just take some gentle circles or cat-cows. Otherwise, if you feel like you want to burn a bit more energy or focus on strengthening, make sure that you're not leaning into your wrists or joints. Press away the earth. And then we'll just come down to a child's pose. And just sinking the hips back to the heels. So you can, again, place a bolster or rolled up blanket or something underneath the knees. You can even place a block or something underneath the hips on top of the legs if you want that kind of support as well. And just softening the neck, the face, the jaw. Slowing down the breath, just finding a bit of stillness. And that's it. And just walking the hands back towards the body. So if it's uncomfortable to stay on your knees, remember you can put something underneath. We won't be here for too long. What we're going to do now is open the front and the back of the body. So as you inhale, I want you to open up your palms and just sink your elbows out and down and palms up as you lift the chest and chin a little bit. Then as you exhale, I want you to think about placing the backs of the hands together. Don't force it. Just bring the elbows forward a little bit. Perfect. Inhale. Begin to open up. Start to lift the chest and chin. And then again, if you're not sure, just look here. But the backs of the fingers, backs of the hands, and elbows forward. But never going 100%. It's just gentle. Then inhale. Lift up off the heels. Hips forward. Nice big opening through the front of the body. And then as we exhale, we're opening through the back of the body, sinking back down into a kind of curl position. Again, not going 100% on any direction. Inhale, open. If 100% is you trying your hardest and going to your full extent, maybe 60% maximum. Inhale. It's not just in autumn, but all yoga, we're not ever really looking for maximum power output as far as putting all our energy into something. That's usually what happens when we don't really know what we're doing at first, because it feels safer to put everything in. But then eventually we're like, actually, I don't need to be activating that as much as I am. So yeah, it's just kind of taking what you've learned, integrating it, walking the hands back. When you're ready, inhale, lift the chest, tuck the toes, press through your downward dog. So with your downward dog, feel like your shoulders are drawing away from the ears a little bit as you press away from the earth, pressing into the fingertips more than the rest of the hand, bending the knees a little bit, and it should feel like the back of the thighs lift and press to the back of the room a little bit, and then just letting your head naturally drape. And that can often be the hardest part. It's just letting your head completely relax. Maybe even letting your jaw relax so much that if you were speaking, it would sound a little bit like this. It can be hard to do. Maybe more hard for some. And then when you're ready, looking forward, walking the feet all the way to meet the hands at the front, lifting halfway just once this time, lifting up. Inhale, exhale, fold back down. Inhale, leaning back. Almost letting the spine naturally stack like a slinky rolling up. If you're not dizzy, you can inhale, raise your hands up, a little bit of a back bend, and then exhale the hands all the way down to the floor, nice and slowly. Looking forward, take a breath in, and as you exhale, step your left foot back this time, warrior two. So the right foot facing directly forward. Back heel down, back set of toes slightly peeking around the front. I like to imagine that the back set of toes is always peeking around the corner to see what the front is doing, and then pressing into the pinky toe of that right foot. Right corner of the mouth up, left corner of the mouth up, relaxing the shoulders. Perfect. As you exhale, drop the hands. As you inhale, zip up through center. Exhale, open, expand. So we're actually turning on all the internal muscles on the way up And then we're expanding out. So as we're drawing energy up through that middle pillar, we're also expanding that central energy channel. And what happens if you expand or open up something that is supposed to allow things to flow through it? You guessed it, more room to flow, more spaciousness. This is what we're just looking for in yoga in general. We're always looking for spaciousness. When we're doing a back bend, we're not trying to fold in half, no matter what Instagram tells you. We're looking to create space and then move and occupy that space. Good, close your eyes if you haven't yet. Good, one more. Exhale, good. Front palm face up, reversing your warrior. And then spiral the hands all the way down, pivoting on that back foot. Left hand stays down, right arm lifts up from the elbow. So why I say the elbow, so exhale back down, drape it underneath, is that if we turn with the arm first rather than the elbow, the chest doesn't tend to twist as much as we want it to. And that's what we're aiming for here, to twist as we turn. Otherwise, we're just kind of waving our arm up and down. Exhale the right hand down, step the right foot back, downward dog. And then again, just checking in. So these little in-between points, these little transitions are little check-ins for us. So just slowing everything down. If you want to check in while in downward dog, go for it. Otherwise, if you want to check in child's pose or circling around on your knees, either way, notice what your breath is doing. Notice what your heart rate is doing. If your heart rate's increased and you want to slow it down a little bit, you simply just need to slow down the breath, especially the breath out. And we want that breath to be coming from the back of the throat on the way out. So it's kind of like this H sound. So if you haven't come down to child's pose yet, just making your way down here. And so it's this slow release of the exhale. And again, just like we talked about earlier, it's another way that you can get your body into that rest and restore state. So if we breathe in, maybe to the count of 3, 2, 1, a little pause at the top, and then breathing out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, little pause at the bottom. And either staying in child's pose for a moment, or you can come into Vajrasana, so that's just sitting up like we were before, resting the hands on the thighs, and just softening the belly. Yeah, and it's something that is, for all humans, a strange thing, because, we want to be sucking our gut in, we don't want to, but no one's going to see you, or even if they see you, they're not going to care. As you breathe in, soften the belly, let it expand out like a balloon filling full of air, and that allows so much more spaciousness. And then as you exhale, drawing the belly button lightly in towards the spine, but just letting that elongate the spine a little bit. Good. Inhale, relax the belly, expand, and then exhale, back in. Good. And as you do this, don't just feel like the belly's expanding forward, but also out to the sides and even the back of the body. Yeah? So using your imagination to imagine that the body is expanding in all directions actually helps to encourage it. So the mind's amazing at once we start to connect these ideas and concepts to our body. Our body's like, oh, I know what you're trying to do. I can do this, and that'll support that idea. Yeah, so the body's always listening. The body's always aiming to support you. Even when it's doing things that you may not agree with, it's only trying to protect you. And so all we're doing here is just aiming to find better communication between you and your body. And that's what yoga is about for me. It's learning to know yourself, your body more, and then helping to develop a language between all the parts of yourself. That's why I love Tantra. Big saying in Tantra is bring everything to the path. Let's take a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, big sigh out. Good, and as slowly and gently as possible, start to walk the hands forward. Inhale, lift up the chest, tuck the toes, back to your downward dog. Bring the feet a little bit closer together at the back of the mat. As you inhale the right foot up, lift up from the heel. So we want to have that right foot pressing to the back of the room, pressing into the fingertips. Now what I want you to do is lean to the left hand a little bit more, maybe even coming onto the fingertips of the right hand. This just allows a little bit more space for that right foot to come through when we come to Warrior Two. So right knee underneath the body, right foot in between the hands, ideally, or as close you can get, and then rotate that left heel down, back into our Warrior Two. Nice work. Inhale. And then exhale, sink in. Good, reversing the warrior straight away. So right palm up, left hand back. Good, then we come into a side angle. So think about pressing the earth away, lifting up and over, right elbow, right thigh. And then that left hand reaches long up and over the body. And so what we're looking for here is, as I press into Jessa's heel, she wants to press back in. So imagine that you're pressing into something behind you. And that top hand wants to elongate up and forward. And so it might even be better a little bit higher or a little bit lower, but just finding that maximum reach and expansion and having the chest face the side of the room. You can't see her face, but she's definitely smiling. Good, and just being with all the sensations. If you need to back off a little bit, just take a breath and you can come back to Warrior Two, but we're just going to take 1 or 2 more breaths here. Embracing all those little wobbles and shakes. They're not a bad thing. Good, 1 more breath in, and then as you exhale, sink into the back foot, straighten that front leg a little bit, right arm up, left arm back, and just relax. Yeah, so when we get all those little wobbles and shakes, it's all the little muscles, the supporter muscles, that don't often get a go because we don't hold something long enough, or that the big muscles are taking over too much. And they're the ones that we want to support. We want to allow them to get a little bit of a go. So we'll come into a triangle. So keep the front knee a little bit bent, up and over, right hand down to the right shin, left hand up to the ceiling. You can have your right hand on a block if that's easier. And what we're looking for again is Jess isn't trying to fold in half. She's actually trying to reach the roof with her top hand. And you see how that just brought her up a little bit. And so this is probably the best position for her upper body, the best angle. Because you want to find that balance between reaching and extending. And then what she's going to do is going to drop that left hand in behind her lower back and just gently press the back of the hand into the lower back, and watch how that opens her chest a little bit more. So that will extend and open your chest a bit more as well. Again, embracing all the little shakes and wobbles. It's just all those little muscles getting super excited because they don't usually get a go. 2 more breaths. Just find a little bit more ease here. I know it's easier to say than do. Good, last breath in. And then as you exhale, bending that front knee, coming back, unraveling into your Warrior Two position. Good. Just get back in a solid position. Left hand, left hip. So think teapot. Yeah. And then we turn our front palm face up. We inhale up and then rotate from the upper body to the left. And then just feel like we're sweeping something down and forward. Good. We inhale up and away, and then exhale in, down, and forward. Good. We don't want to dip our chest too far down though. We want to kind of keep our chest over our hips. So we inhale up and away, and then exhale. Yeah, so just keep the chest up as much as possible. Yeah, good. Inhale up and away. Exhale forward. If you want to, you can bring the back hand in. So we inhale, turn the palms away from you, and then like you're sweeping something down. Optional whooshing sounds. Clearing out all those fallen leaves. Clearing out the system. Slowing it down, closing your eyes. Good, last one. Inhale, and then exhale, sweep the hands down. No twist this time, right foot straight back to downward dog. Just have a little pedal out, exploring your downward dog a bit more again. And then maybe leaning side to side. So from your downward dog, could you lean into your right hand a little bit more and right foot a little bit more? And maybe leaning to the left hand, left foot a little bit more. Just seeing how that feels for your body. Notice if your head's relaxed, hanging in between the arms as you do. And then we're going to come from downward dog, walking the feet forward a little bit, but we're not going to come fully up to the front of the mat. We're going to walk the feet back again, slowly to the back of the mat. Good. And just slowly noticing walking the feet. And then exhale, walking back. Perfect. And then just coming down to the knees, hands down to the thighs. And we're just going to do a gentle little side-to-side hip opening before we go to that last standing flow. So I just want you to take your right hand down, out to the right. And then I want you to take your left foot out to the left. As you inhale, I want you to sweep your left arm up and then open. Take a peek up to the sky. And then as you exhale, sweep that left hand down and we come into the opposite side. So left hand out to the left, right foot out to the right. Open and inhale. Right hand to the sky. And then as you exhale, tuck the lower belly in a little bit and we sweep to the other side, extend out. Nice. Might take a few goes to get it. So we exhale back to the other side. Open up that hip as much as feels comfortable. Exhale. And now just going with your own rhythm. May go super slow motion. You may lift your hips up to the sky and completely open up. Or it might just be a gentle kind of sway. This is just an opportunity to notice what your body wants out of this movement. And that could slowly ease back into a child's pose now or in a few breaths. Either way, just finding a bit of stillness in child's pose or Vajrasana. And when you do find a bit of stillness, slowing down that out breath again. So as you breathe in for 3, 2, 1, little pause, and then out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Then one more, breathing in for 3, 2, 1, pause, and then out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Making your way back to downward dog. And just noticing what naturally comes up in stillness or in movement. If you're one of those people that gets bored when they're being still, there's so much to do when you're still. You can really start to focus on your breath, and that will change your whole physiology, the way that your body's reacting, just via the breath. And if you're one that wants to stay still and just breathe and you don't enjoy the movement, how can you start to implement the breath into the movement to enjoy it a little bit more? When you're ready, inhale the left foot up, in behind the body. Last standing flow. And then slowly bringing that left foot through as you lean to the right hand a bit more. That just allows a bit more space to bring it through. Right heel down, left foot forward, left arm forward, right arm back, front palm face up. Inhale, reverse. Good, front knee stays bent, pressing the earth away from you as you lift up and over, left elbow, left thigh. Right arm reaches long, and then rotate that palm, that top palm face down a bit. Good. Grounding down into that back heel, that back pinky toe. Grounding into the front pinky toe. And if you feel like you need to adjust at any time, feel free to do that. The last piece is just making sure you're not hanging out on that front thigh. So you want to actively be pressing down into that left elbow, so much so that you could actually take that left elbow off completely and the upper body wouldn't move. Don't suggest you do it unless you really want a good oblique or side workout. You do want to draw the lower belly in a little bit, but not restricting your breathing. If you're feeling the burn in your front leg, good. Getting a bit of action in the muscles isn't a bad thing. Support with the breath. Last breath in. And then even though you may want to come out as fast as possible, slowly straighten that front leg. Doesn't matter if it wobbles. Just slow, controlled transitions, yeah? So the most undervalued or underlooked at or appreciated thing in yoga, I think, is the transitions. Just relaxing the shoulders. And that's actually what they say on the tantric path, especially in yoga, that if your yoga practice is working, your transitions in life are smoother. So keep that front leg straight, little bend in the knee, and then come up and over. So left hand down to the shin, pressing the pinky toe of that left foot and reach for the sky, so much so that it actually pulls your upper body up, because that's probably more your ideal alignment. Again, it's not about trying to fold down in half. See some people in yoga all competing to who can get their chest closer to the ground in triangle. All they're going to get is some hip and rib problems fairly soon. And so maybe thinking what smoother transitions would mean for you off the mat, outside of the yoga class. When you're ready, you can drop that top hand, so dropping that right hand in below the lower back, gently pressing into the lower back to support. That'll naturally open up the chest. So it's up to you where you want to look with your head. You can look up, down, or somewhere in between. Just with each breath, finding a little bit more ease. Even if it's just one tiny little muscle that lets go a little bit more. Not to the point that your whole body drops to the floor, obviously, but finding that in between. Finding what energy you need to use, yeah? You don't need to turn on every light in the house if you're reading a book. What do you need on and what energy can be saved? One more breath in. And then exhale, sinking back. Good. Then you can expand out, right hand, right hip, front palm face up. Inhale up and to the right. Straighten the front leg a little bit. And exhale, sweep the hand down and forward. Inhale up and away. Exhale, in, down and forward. Inhale, up and away. Exhale, in, down and forward. Just maybe think of this sweeping motion as just tidying things up, preparing for the winter. We were joking earlier about winter is coming. Good, both hands. Whooshing sounds optional, but highly encouraged. Sighs are also always encouraged. Nice big breath in. Depending on the week you've had or the autumn you're having, that sigh might be a little bit louder. Feel free to let go of any extra energy. So we're going to wind down after this. So if you've got any last pent-up energy, in through the nose, out through the mouth, stick your tongue out even. let it all go. And when you're ready, finding your way back to downward dog, slowing it all down. Nice work. Having a last little pedal out through the body, stretching. So it might feel good to maybe, you can do this on your knees or in downward dog. You would take one hand a little bit more forward than the other. So press that right hand forward. And then just take a little peek under the right armpit and press into the left hand. That'll just open the side a little bit. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And then you would rotate back to center, place that right hand down, left hand forward just a little bit. And then you would press into that right hand, peek under that left armpit, and then slowing down the breath. Again, if it's too much to do in downward dog, just come down to the knees. You can do most of the same things. And then bring yourself gently back down to Vajrasana just for a moment. Just taking a bit of stillness in for a moment. And so transitions for me are aiming to turn my circle more into a spiral. Yeah, because I think that all life, once you look at it, is cyclical. Even the decisions, the relationships we end up in, everything tends to cycle round. But I think if we do it unconsciously, we end up running the same circle. But ideally, once we come back to that same point again, if we can view it from even just a tiny little bit higher up, or it doesn't even have to be higher, just from a slightly different perspective, and learn from that previous cycle, then we can be making progress. And that progress for you, or for me, if I'm speaking personally, might be realizing that progress isn't as important sometimes as just rejuvenating, nourishing. So if you are a very A-type personality, go, 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 that progress for you might be just to surrender a little bit more. Or it might be the opposite. Again, the season could show up differently for you. Slowing down the breath. Good. So we'll come into a pigeon pose. There's two options for this. Well, there's actually many, many options for this, but I'll give you two main options with a restorative version. So if you have a bolster or a rolled up towel or a pillow or a block, just bring them with you to the front of the mat. If pigeon pose doesn't suit you, we have an option on our back to do it. But from downward dog, we would inhale our right foot up and back in behind the body, and then bring that right knee to the outside of the right wrist. So if you know straight away this doesn't suit you, just come out, come onto your back, and I'll give you something else in a moment. But what you want to do is flex the right foot. So actually curl your toes back and gently press down into the knee and the foot into the ground. This will actually protect the knee and open up space, yeah? Point the back set of toes back. I know this is a lot of cues, but honestly, setting yourself up is going to do your body a load of good. Take a nice big breath in, and then as you exhale, just slowly start to turn things off and relax in. If something doesn't feel right, you can come out, come onto your back. Variations. You can place a block underneath that right hip. You can place a nice big bolster or pillow on top of your front leg, and you can just completely lay on it. I'll get yours, so if you're not sure what that looks like, and just coming down. Otherwise, coming onto your back, and you would just take your right ankle to your left thigh. You can try taking your right ankle to your right thigh. I don't know how that's going to go. So right ankle, left thigh, and then as your head lays on the ground, drawing your left knee towards you, pressing your right ankle away, both hands underneath the knee. So yeah, these are just still options. So just finding the position that feels best for you, and just finding a sense of surrender in there. And maybe even just with each breath in and out, just finding a little bit more relaxation. Could be in the fingertips, could be in the shoulders, the neck, Again, what is your jaw doing? We forget so much, especially when we're thinking really hard about something. You can usually tell if your mind's wandered off somewhere, because you'll find that if you wake yourself out of it, your teeth are together, your jaw's a little bit clenched. So, play a little game with yourself. You don't have to keep perfect awareness all the time. It's probably never going to happen. Sorry if that was your aim. But the game is just to catch yourself out and bring yourself back to awareness of your breath or the room or the sounds around you for a moment. Because when we are present in the moment, there's been so much research to show that no matter what we're doing, we're happier. And if you think of how this applies to you, I don't know about you, but I've caused myself a lot of grief thinking about doing the dishes before, but once I actually did the dishes, I was like, that's not that bad. Yeah, so a lot of time, if we just stay present in the moment, we're generally a lot happier. And speaking of happiness, if you're in a very comfortable position that you don't want to leave, I apologize, but we will slowly make our way out. That might be a relief for you. Either way, smoothing the transition. So if you're on your back, you can simply swap legs. Otherwise, if you're in downward dog, you might want to gently remove your foot from the ground, extend it behind you, maybe even bending that right knee, opening that right hip. And then placing the right foot down, extending the left foot up and back, bending the left knee and opening up the left hip if you did on the right side. And then left knee to the outside of that left wrist. So when I say outside, it's just because a lot of people end up with their knee in front of their body. Otherwise, it kind of goes clunk and we can't go down. Flexing that left foot. If you want your bolster there, you can do that. Otherwise, coming onto your back again. And then just gently, slowly surrendering down. And really aiming to focus on that belly breathing. Yeah, so just as you breathe in, imagine your belly expanding out, filling full of air like a balloon. As you exhale, just feel a sense of release and relief. Like each breath in, you're taking in what your body needs. And then it's using that on the breath out to just let go of whatever doesn't serve it. And feeling that in your body, with even just a little part of your body feeling a little bit more relaxed. Maybe seeing if we can add this breath count a little bit. So with me, breathing in for 3, 2, 1. Little pause at the top, and then exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little pause at the bottom. Breathing back in for 3, 2, 1. Little pause at the top, and then breathing out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just relaxing at the bottom, letting your breath become natural again. And allowing space for your mind to wander off somewhere. Just maybe observing where it's going. Yeah, so you can imagine it if it was a child of yours. Instead of just saying don't go anywhere and holding tight onto them, letting them wander off, but just noticing where they go. I know the mind and child are a little bit different, and I don't personally have children, so it's easy for me to say let your child wander off, but it's interesting to see where the mind goes, because the mind is part of your body that is really only trying to do what's best for you, or what it thinks is best for you at any moment. Part of getting to know your body and mind, so what we call psychology. Psychology used to mean study of the soul. And so I think yoga really honors the whole mind-body-soul complex, and that's what makes it unique from a lot of other things that are just fitness-based. Yeah. So when you're ready, absolutely no rush. You look very comfortable. Starting to walk the hands back. Just lean to that left leg. Sweep the right leg around. And just have everything you need by your side. And we're going to just rotate our knees. So I'll show you while I'm sitting up because it's easier. So you'll be on your back and you'll just be making little circles with your knees. So as you roll onto your back, just imagine drawing circles with the knees. So they may be tiny circles, or they may be big circles. They might be slow circles. They might be quick circles. But whichever way you're doing it, see if you can let the shoulders join in on the party. So just making sure that the shoulders aren't stiff and staying in one place. As the knees move towards you, the shoulders should move up towards the ears and then away, and then reversing that direction when you're ready. And then just placing both feet down, placing the feet to the edges of the mat, so off to the sides, and let the knees gently fall into the center a little bit. Open up the arms out wide into a T shape, and just gently sway the knees from side to side. Kind of like windscreen wipers. So we're not aiming for anything. The goal isn't to get the knees to the floor or anything like that. It's just simply swaying gently from the hips. And we've just got a couple of poses left before Shavasana. So one option is, if you're familiar with legs up the wall, you can simply just put your hips close to a wall, maybe supported by a bit of a pillow, and just rest your legs up against the wall. Another option would be to take a strap. I don't have a strap on me at the moment, but you would wrap it around one of your feet near the toes and just extend your right foot up, relaxing your shoulders and holding it up. We're just going to imagine that I have a strap here. And then the third option, if you don't have a wall or a strap, is you're going to take the hands behind the right knee to start off with. Make sure the hips are on the ground. And as you inhale, I want you to point your toes to the ceiling. As you exhale, gently curl the toes back, flex the foot, and extend the heel up a little bit. Good, just a little bit. Inhale, relax, point the toes. Make sure the hips and tailbone are still on the ground. And then exhale, press the heel up a little bit. Good. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, flex the foot. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, flex the foot. And we're only looking maybe for a millimeter of extra length in the leg at a time, making sure that we're not hunching the shoulders. Then just rotate the ankle one way, and then back the other way. Wiggle the toes. Wiggle your second smallest toe without wiggling the rest of them. If anyone can, please email us. Haven't found anyone that can yet. Drop your right foot down and then left foot up. Again, not hunching the shoulders, relaxed. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, flexing the foot. Inhale, point the toes. Exhale, flexing the foot. Good. And just continuing that in your own time. Seeing if you can breathe into the belly. And if you're new to belly breathing, we're obviously not literally breathing into the belly, but through softening the belly and allowing breath to move and feel like it's in the belly, that actually activates our diaphragm. And there's so many benefits from diaphragmatic breathing. One of them simply being that it relaxes your nervous system. perfect way to start to bring you into that rest and restore state. So you can lower that left knee down. Separate the feet again, so feet to the edges, arms are out wide, knees gently swaying side to side. And we're just going to take a couple of options here. So the first option, if it's okay for you, is just placing the soles of your feet together into Baddha Konasana and just letting your knees fall apart. So there's a few things you can do for a supportive version of this. You can place a pillow underneath each knee. So if you're not sure and want to look up here, if I was to support Jess's legs with one bolster each side, that would take any undue pressure off. So you would get a nice opening, but it wouldn't be to the point that it might feel like it's pinching. There's a couple other ways to do this, but we're not going to be here for too long. You'll get more of this kind of thing in the extra content for the winter. I'm going to put in some nice restorative stuff for you as well, and you can also use that as an extra for autumn. So if you're looking for just a purely restorative autumn, once you make your way through the course and unlock the bonus content, that'll be some motivation for you. For now, just breathing into the belly. Feel free to stay here for another breath or two if you're enjoying it. And then the last pose we're going to do is a supported bridge. So what you want to do is just gently support the knees back together, not to activate anything too much. And then what you're going to do is lift up your hips, and you can either place a block. So a block could be on its low setting. Most of the time it's around this, on its medium. And then Jess will just find her sit bones. So it shouldn't feel sharp or pinching. You just want to find that position on the hips. Otherwise, you can put something softer like a bolster. So for example, I could place this bolster underneath for her. And so that's obviously the more gentle version with the feet down, but if you want extra stretch, she could straighten out her legs, and then that would give you extra stretch. So just finding which one of those works for you for now. And alternatively, if none of them feel good for you, just come straight into Shavasana. Make sure you don't trip over any blocks that are on the ground. Just noticing your breath. When you're ready, you can find your way into Shavasana. A nice thing to do, obviously I'm off camera now, but I'm coming back in. I was just getting Jess a blanket. But something nice to do might also be if you have a bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, even more reason to invest in one. You can place the bolster underneath your knees, and especially at the moment, that'll feel really nourishing because it'll take the pressure off your lower back. So another thing you can do, just as a side note, is you can, if you have a lower kind of chair, you can put your legs up on a chair, and just anything around this time taking pressure off your lower back will probably be pretty good. Also in your winter as well, in general, but. And then if you've got a yoga teacher with you, you can get them to tuck you in. If not, you can DIY. You get that when you sign up to the advanced version of this course. You get At the end of each class, we send someone to tuck you in. And just slowing down the breath. Just imagining that as you breathe in, your body's receiving exactly what it needs to nourish it, rejuvenate it, and restore it. As you breathe out, your body's just filtering out whatever it doesn't need, whatever doesn't serve it, and just letting it go. Because that's pretty much exactly what's happening with the body. And it's also a good reminder, sometimes there's no point in holding on to things. Because as you breathe in, and imagine if you thought, I'm not going to let go of this breath because I might not get another breath. But in fact, doing that will not work out very well if you've ever tried to hold your breath for a long time. So what we're doing, we're breathing in, and from that cycle of breathing in, our body received what it needed from that cycle. And in fact, in order for it to work the way it's supposed to work, we need to exhale, we need to release in order to start the cycle again. It doesn't work just by holding on to your breath. You can try it. And in fact, the whole world works in harmony. I like to think of trees as the lungs of the earth. And think about it, as you breathe out carbon dioxide, the trees are breathing that in as their oxygen. And then as they breathe out they breathe out oxygen for us to receive. Yeah? And to quote the great philosopher, Mufasa, everything moves in the great circle of life. You know, it's cliche, it's corny, but it's cliche for a reason. So just letting that idea just sink into your body. In fact, letting your whole body just sink into the earth. Letting the earth hold you, support you, like it always has and always will. And as you slowly start to feel this sense of surrender through every little muscle fiber, every little corner of your being, you start to feel this lightness spreading throughout your body. You feel it up the back of the heels, up the back of the calves, behind the knees, slowly up the back of the thighs, up the hips, from the lower back, all the way up behind the shoulder blades, up the back of the neck, all the way up the back of the head to the crown of the head. And just noticing the space now for a moment at the crown of your head. That's it. And just letting that sensation move again and wash, trickle down over the forehead and eyebrows, down your temples, down the front of your nose to your top lip, around the cheeks to your bottom lip. Noticing the whole jaw soften and relax. Noticing more space now between the teeth and the tongue. Feeling as though your shoulders are just melting down into the earth as it supports them. Feeling this soothing wave down the arms towards the wrists, hands and fingertips. This same gentle sensation washes down over the chest and ribs, the belly, hips, thighs, knees, shins, ankles, tops of the feet and toes, until it just rests at the soles of your feet for a moment. Just noticing the space at the soles of your feet for a moment. That's it. Noticing your entire body now, completely at ease, completely relaxed, and almost weightless. And you can just let go and stay here. There's nothing left to do. very slowly, just starting to bring your awareness back here to the room. And slowly noticing any sounds that you can hear around you. Maybe even playing a game and noticing how many different sounds you can hear around you. And then bringing your awareness to the sound of your own breath as it begins to deepen in and out the nose. As you begin to reawaken your body, you can start to softly brush each finger across the thumb, one by one. Just noticing how much more aware you are of the subtle sensations, how much more potent everything feels right now. You can begin to wiggle your toes. You can nod your head gently from side to side. And just starting to move however feels good for you in your body. And when you're ready, you can take a nice big stretch up overhead with the arms. Nice big breath in, little grin, and then roll yourself over to one side, knees tucked in, head resting on the arm. And just taking a moment just to thank yourself for taking this time out for you. It's often the times that we tell ourselves we don't have time to do this kind of thing is the times we actually need it. I saw a really good version of this on a wall in a yoga studio, and it said something along the lines of, only do 5 minutes of meditation a day if you have time. If you don't have time, you should do 20 minutes. So when you're ready, you can slowly start to bring yourself up into a seated position. Just noticing for a moment how different you feel now as opposed to when you started the class. Noticing what part of you maybe that feels different. Can you even label it? We'll inhale both hands up above the head, palms together. And as you exhale, bring both hands down through center, brushing the thumbs over the forehead, the nose, the lips, the chest, the backs of the hands against the thighs as you inhale the hands back up again. Again, just gently brushing the thumbs over the forehead, nose, maybe the cheeks, lips or chin, chest. And hands over the thighs. Just one more time. This time just resting the palms in front of the chest. So we'll finish off with an Om. We will warm up the voice. If you're not used to Omming, you can just receive it, or even just doing the hum. There's something super nourishing about humming for the body. It actually activates the vagus nerve, which relaxes the whole nervous system, and it's so natural. Even mothers, fathers hum to their babies who have never sung in their life. So it's such a beautiful human thing to make sound and to resonate it through our body. So I invite you just to make a gentle humming sound with us to start off with, and then you can do that again or join us second time with an Om. Taking a breath in together. Second breath in for Om. Breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the lovely Jess for being my co-star this morning, day or evening. Thank you to you for taking this time out, and have a beautiful rest of your autumn. Namaste.